Hey guys, Gil Stokes here. Welcome back to another video on technical analysis. Today, I want to share with you a trend continuation idea that we looked at recently on the dollar Canada inside my live trading room. In this session, we dove into a few really good topics, things like the differences between inside and outside structure, how to use Fibonacci tools to strengthen your predictions, 3-bar reversals, and even a little bit about volume, specifically why I used to hate volume, what made me change my mind to decide to dig deeper into it, and now how I use it to really complement the other things that I do in my technical analysis. So if you're into structure, Fibonacci, and learning how to add different tools to make better predictions, you're gonna love this video. All right, let's hop in. 3 messages, but they get upset when they can't see it. So we're gonna use it as a review. All right, so perfect. All right, so let's start off with our ever so beautiful 4-step IPDE process: identify, predict, decide, execute. I'm gonna have you guys do it for me. So let me know, type it in. What do you identify here? And by identify, it's what is price done? Where is price at? For me personally, because I'm a structure-based trader, when I ask myself those questions, it's always what has price done relative to our important levels of structure, where is price at relative to our important levels of structure. Something I like to do, my favorite tool, right? This is gonna catch people off guard. My favorite tool is the horizontal line tool. And I like to use my horizontal line tool to identify my most recent level of outside structure, right? And we can see that recently price action tested that level, right? So we gotta adjust that up a little bit because it probed new highs. And then we have broken and closed, or working on breaking and closing above that level. So we don't have confirmation of that yet on the daily, but if we're assuming that we're going to get a break and close above, the next question we have to ask ourselves is, if price action goes higher, well, let's start for our prediction. If we get a break and close above, then what direction are we expecting price action to go in? Up or down, if we get a break and close above? Higher. Okay. So the next part of our prediction process, because the prediction process is a 3-part process, if we're likely to go higher, and this is where it gets a little bit more difficult, then where are we likely to go higher to? And this, once again, is going to require analysis. So where would you expect price action to go to if we were to go higher? We've got an interesting zone, in my opinion. So what I'm looking for is, again, what is our most relevant level of, our most recent level of outside structure? That's going to be the extreme for me. And then is there any type of inside structure that shows importance as well? So if we look at our most recent level of outside structure, remember, outside structure is our most recent level of structure that hasn't been violated. Our most recent level of outside structure is going to be right here. Let me know if that makes sense, right? If we're just looking at our move here and our move here, this is our most recent level of outside structure. Again, outside structure, more important than inside structure. Not saying inside structure isn't important, but it's more important. So when I look at this, and again, we wouldn't have a recency bias, right? When we look back at the charts, nothing back here, right, for me is relevant, right? Or has high relevance. And why would that be? It could be a little part of the picture if there seems to be like a massive structure shelf there. But why would this not have high relevance for me? Why do you guys think? I'll give you a clue. I just kind of said it. What level of structure do I value the most? Outside level. Is any of this an outside level of structure? Right? No. Because we violated it here, we pushed past it here, none of this is an outside level of structure. It's already being tested. It already has been violated. So therefore, it loses its importance. It's the same thing as going back and being like, hey, is this level of structure important right here? No, it was very important at a time, right? But then as soon as we did this became less important because it's been violated, and then this took over as the important level, and this was super important until we did this, right? So it kind of shifts like that. So let's go back to our level. So the first outside level of the structure right there is going to be important to me. And then what I noticed here, I'm going to erase some of your marks. Excuse me, I apologize for that. Or I can just do this. I'll keep your marks. So your marks are important. For me, I want to look for, again, we see this big candle. I want to look for a zone that seems to be important. And then for me, it's going to be, again, the top of this zone to really the bottom of this candle right there. And if we look left, again, there is some inside structure that confirms that little level right here. So this is the bigger zone that I like right here. So again, I'm asking myself, is there room to go higher here on the dollar Canada? And we are not at that zone yet. So yeah, the answer is yes, there is still room to go higher. Now, kind of going off of what we spoke about earlier, if I wanted to, and there's only a few things I could do in this case, if I wanted to maybe bring in more confirmation of where in that zone specifically we may want to shoot for, what are some things I can do? It's going to be hard to do an equal measure move. I don't really have there's no place to pull from it on this time frame, so I can't do an equal measured move. I can do a Fibonacci retracement. I can do a Fibonacci retracement from a few levels. There are two swings. There's a bigger swing and a lower swing. The big swing is from our ultimate swing high to swing low here. And we can see that we have, a 618 right above it, a 50% right below it. 50% is going to be a little bit relevant, but it's in my zone, so that's going to be relevant. 618 right at the high of that zone. There's a smaller swing right here we can use as well, our most recent swing. And that's going to give me pretty much the same thing. I'm going to get 618 and 618 Fibonacci confluence right at that 50%. I'm going to 786 right at that 618, so we are getting some confluence there. I can't really draw out a Fibonacci extension yet. There's no way to draw out a Fibonacci extension. So as I told you in the last analysis, what we can do is we can do an inversion from my swing low right here to my recent swing high right there and backwards. That's going to give me an inversion. That inversion is going to give me a 127 here and a 1618 there. So it's very interesting, right? We drew out this zone based purely on structure. And we've got a cluster of fibs, right at the bottom of that zone. We have a cluster of fibs right at the top of that zone. Interesting, right? Interesting, the clues that the market gives us. And then someone mentioned volume as well. Let's bring in some volume. We'll take the ultimate swing high to swing low. Rewind. We'll take the ultimate swing high to swing low. And we'll see that we have a void in the volume. And then it picks up right at that zone. So tap yourself on the back, get excited if any of these line up with the areas that you were predicting, because you are getting some confluence there. By the way, is anyone in here unfamiliar with the anchored volume profile tool? Or is it anchored volume profile? Yes, it is anchored profile. If so, I can give you the Akil dumb version of it, which is my favorite version. I like simple stuff. David says yes. All right. So think about volume. I'm going to say a big word, and I actually know this big word. Darn it, I shouldn't have said that because now it doesn't make me seem smart anymore. All right. Think about volume as being synonymous with interest in the market. So the more volume equals the more interest. If there's think about it like an auction. I don't know if you guys have ever been to an auction where if someone's like, hey, here is a porcelain cat. We're going to start the bidding at $5. And everyone's snoring and right? There's no interest, right? The price isn't really being driven up because no one's interested in the cat. Maybe one person's like, yeah, I'll give you $5 for it, whatever. There's low volume. There's low interest. But if someone says, hey, we're going to start the bidding with a golden statue of super trader Akil Stokes, and everyone's going crazy, $100, $200, $300, right? Everyone's got their little things up, right? There's high volume because there's a lot of interest in the golden statue of super trader Akil Stokes, right? So there's more interest at that level. And to take it deeper, that's what drives the market. If there are more bulls interested at a level, then that's when you see price action go because more people are buying and vice versa. So think about volume as being synonymous with interest. So traditionally what we would look for, and I won't take you into the deep somewhat dark backstory of me analyzing volume. But typically what we would look for in general is, or traditionally is, you get kind of, I call it below chart volume, traditional volume, where it measures the volume candlestick by candlestick, right? So each of these little bar chart things says the volume of each of the candlesticks on your chart, right? Each of the sessions. So that is useful in certain ways, not so much useful in how I trade and whatnot, so I don't use it. But horizontal volume, this measures the volume at specific price levels, not candlestick levels, but price levels. So the more volume you have, you look at that as being synonymous with pretty much the more interest there is at this price level, right? Does that make sense? And in trading, the more interest there is at a price level, that's typically where you tend to find support and resistance. So you'll see volume spikes and a lot of consolidation because there's lots of people, kind of both parties at that level. When you see voids in the volume, there's not as much volume, which typically means like free flowing traffic. So you can kind of just flow freely through. So when you see stuff like this, my expectation would be like there's not a lot of volume here, so there's nothing really stopping or halting price action from moving across until we get to the next level of volume, which happens to be right here at the beginning of our zone and our Fibonacci confluence, and then we may see some type of reaction. So this is actually another confirming tool that says, hey, the low of this level, is a level that we should be paying attention to. So I think it's a good level. Again, my zone started at 141.45, 141.5 is where our fibs are at. And then as to the top of that level as well is a decent level as well. I'm pretty conservative and punky, for lack of a better term. So what I would anticipate in my analysis is that, hey, I would look for a move to 141.5. So is volume accurate? No, not in the Forex market. So this is the reason I'll do the really short version of this. Hated volume for a long time because it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me because in the Forex market, there's no central exchange. So what that means is that unlike the stock market, there's no actual number that tells you the buyers and sellers, right? Does that make sense? In the stock market, there is, because everything goes to a central exchange. So like when you have a number, like it means like that many orders came through. There's no central exchange in Forex. That's why data is different. So whatever volume number I'm getting on my chart doesn't actually tell me the whole volume of the market. It only tells me the volume based on what my data provider has. And for the longest time, I'm like, well, that's a false number. Like the number it's fluff. It doesn't actually mean anything. Like why would I make an important financial decision based off a number that doesn't mean anything? Yes, I know what's happening over here, but who the hell knows what's happening over there, right? So I was highly against it for the longest time. But as it reopened I had a conversation with Mike Bellafiore about it when he was getting more into his trading desk, was getting more into Forex, and volume is something that he heavily uses in the stock market. And he was just picking my mind about it in the Forex market because he was going through the same thing. And it really opened. I didn't have an answer for him, which maybe seemed like a punk. I mean, I had an answer of like, no, I don't like it. But I didn't have any solutions. And I felt kind of bad about myself because I'm like, the great Mike Bellafiore, someone that I look up to in industry, like who I ask a lot of questions to, like he reached out to me, like it's cool, like it solidifies my status of golden super trader statue Akil, and I just felt I wish I had an answer for him because I'm supposed to be Forex is my specialty. I'm supposed to be the Forex guy. So I wanted to learn more in case, to try to give him an answer or to have better answers to questions aside from, no, I just don't like it because of the reasons I just told you. And I started doing more research into volume. Long story short, I did about a year's worth of study on volume, specifically volume spread analysis. And I came to the same conclusion that it could be useful in certain ways, like a daily chart, for example, or like for a day trader. But as a swing trader, it's still, because of the sessionality of trading, it doesn't, the Forex market, it was the cyclical nature, let's say, of the Forex market. It just wasn't very useful. In that book, and this is why you read stuff, I learned about this tool, right? The pretty much horizontal volume, anchored volume profile, whatever you want to call it. And I ignored it for the most part because like it just wasn't what my main intention was. So I read about it, I learned about it, but I ignored it. But I didn't have any intentions of using it until I started bringing it to the live room. And one of you guys was like, hey, what do you think about that? And I was like, well, you know, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of like, it hit me. I was like, wait a minute. This is actually beneficial to me. This can work. So I did another year of a year of analysis and expectation implementation with it, and it ended up being a tool that I added to my arsenal. So this was a whole 2-year process. It takes me a long time to make any changes in my trading, but it actually lines up perfectly with my values of structure in the market. And it also lines up with the idea, again, I don't need to look for a specific volume price analysis in general. I don't need to look for a specific number, whether it's rather it's a relationship between volume and price and past relationships and stuff like that. So yeah, that is my journey to using it. A 2-year journey, right? You guys can probably not imagine that. Like, why would you spend 2 years looking into something? And the reason is because I'm good at what I do. I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I don't have to rush to change anything. I'm not in panic mode. Like, I'm making good, consistent profits in the market. So I can afford to take my time to do things the right way. And because I'm scared to death that I'm going to mess up my trading with shiny thing syndrome, being like, ooh, I'm bored. Let's add something else, as we spoke about in the last kind of breakdown. So I took my time. So I still have the same feeling as volume. It can't be trusted per the number, but I now have a way that I can use it. Was that a short version? Probably not. Up in there. All right, so that's dollar Canada. Let's go down to a lower time frame real quick. Again, we still need on the daily a higher high, higher close. If you are someone that doesn't use the daily or doesn't require confirmation on the daily, then you have your higher high, higher close already. Was it 42.5s we're looking for? Was that the level? I forgot already. 42, 45s. Yeah, 42.5s. Around that area. Right? You already have your higher high, higher close. Now you're looking for the same thing we did with New Zealand dollar. Looking for a little retracement, a little pullback into our previous level of structure, and then hopefully a kaboom to the upside. Now, just a quick update on the dollar Canada. You can see that we did end up retracing back into our zone. I was actually watching this very closely for what's called a 3-bar reversal, which is one of the entry techniques that I'm allowed to take. And what we're looking for in a 3-bar reversal is 3 things, hence the name 3 bars, right? We need 1, a high momentum bearish candle, which we got right there, a strong high momentum bearish candle. 2, a rejection candle. You can see we got a nice pin bar right here. Price action pushed down to this level right here. You can see that we got sucked back up. You could tell by the length of the wick in comparison to the body. And then finally, what we needed was a higher high, higher close. And what a higher high, higher close is going to be is what this started off being right before it got sucked back down. So a bullish candle that both breaks and closes above. Now, we do have Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaking in about 10 minutes. So the market is going a little bit weird right now, kind of organizing itself beforehand, but we're going to keep an eye on this for an alternative reason for entry. So the 3-bar reversal is invalid. It cannot happen. So throw that away, but we'll still keep an eye on this trading idea for potential bullish trade because there is still a big zone and plenty of opportunity. Glad I got this in right before I pushed complete on the video. I'll add it to the end, which you won't even notice, and I probably shouldn't have mentioned because you're seeing it right now. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button, subscribe, that way you don't miss future videos. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.